So I've been trying to record this video for about 3 weeks now. Normally, all my previous videos I would have recorded clips and put them on my either Snapchat or Instagram stories and then converted them to video in post-edit later. But I wanted to script this video like a lot of YouTubers do and then read the script just to see if it would flow a little bit better, but I don't know if this is going to work. But anyway, one of the hardest things to do in life is admitting that you are stuck. We get comfortable knowing that we have been in similar situations before and that we may be in familiar surroundings when a problem arises. When we are in new or unfamiliar environments, it is easy to recognize when we are in over our head, particularly if we are working on something that is outside of our normal work environment or profession. When you're in a position that you have to fix something, in a position of responsibility, as a parent or as an employee or just as a citizen in your neighborhood, and a problem arises, and you have to fix that problem, and it's your job to fix that problem, or it's your responsibility to fix that problem. Sometimes the problems are easy. If you've seen that type of thing before, or if it's an easy problem to fix, or if you've read something about it, or someone's told you something about it. But sometimes those problems are not easy to fix, and you get stuck in them. And you get in the middle of it, and it gets more difficult, and you don't see a solution to the problem, and the problem seems to get more difficult and more confusing, and as the saying goes, you can't see the forest for the trees, which has happened to me multiple times over the years. And sometimes when you get into those problems, you get in the middle of the problem and you almost want to give up. I've talked about this before, where you should have someone that you can call as a resource, someone that's been around maybe longer than you, or someone that has seen this type of problem or worked in this type of new environment that you may not have seen before. And I have a couple of people myself that I call for work, for electrical work in the trade, but also just outside of work. Obviously family, I like to rely on my pastor for advice in many ways, friends, so these are just a few examples. Having a mentor, the parent-child relationship. I go to my parents, but anyway, when you get stuck in a problem and you can't see the solution, and you don't have any resources around you or available to you to find a solution to that problem, sometimes it's worse when the person that you're trying to fix the problem for, be it your customer or other, is right there with you. And you don't want to get stuck. You don't want to look bad, like you're wasting time or like you don't know what you're doing. So, and this has happened to me numerous times. It's there's always a solution in the end, whether it takes 5 minutes or 1 hour or 8 hours or 2 days or 2 weeks. There's always a solution. And so just recognizing that sometimes the problem might not seem like there's a solution, but there is a solution somewhere. There's an answer to the problem. And I have a lot of examples of this occurring, but the one thing that brought this idea, this thought up, is I got a call from a contractor, and they were remodeling a house or a kitchen or something, and I guess they normally do the electrical work, whatever, it wasn't a big deal, but there's some lighting and switches in the kitchen that they couldn't figure out, and they had it half torn apart. And when I got there, the switch and the receptacle were pulled out of the wall, and it looked like a rat's nest. And there was one wire that didn't connect to anything, and it was just hanging out, and they didn't know where it went to. And it was almost a nightmare because there was probably 5 non-metallic or 5 Romex wires coming into that one box, and nothing worked. There was power, but nothing worked. The outlets didn't work. A couple different sets of lights didn't work. The GFI wouldn't work. So, not to get into all the technical side of this, because this applies to many different aspects of the trade and other trades as well, but I really didn't know where to start. I didn't see it wired correctly from the beginning. So what I did is I disconnected all the wires and pulled all the devices out. I pulled the switch out and I pulled the GFCI out of the wall. And I separated all the wires, all the neutrals, all the grounds, all the hots, all the switch legs, or I'm sure there was switch legs in there because there was a switch. And I just started from scratch. And I used the process of elimination. I found where my hot wire was at. I determined which wires went to other parts of the circuit. In this case, other outlets. I found the switch leg that went up to the light, or one of the lights. I found the switch leg that went up to another light. And through process of elimination, I figured out what all the wires were supposed to be and how they were supposed to be wired, and rewired the 2 devices that were there originally the way they were supposed to be so that everything worked right. And so the point of this is this doesn't have to apply to a kitchen switch and GFI. Just the other week, a couple days ago actually, I was looking at a house that had multiple circuits that weren't working right, and I was definitely stuck in the weeds on it. And a couple of times I actually had to stop and leave the house and kind of start my process over again. And that's the main point here, is that a lot of times when you get stuck in the middle of a problem, even if it's something small or if it's something that seems familiar, in an environment that seems like it should be pretty easy to deal with, whether it's that environment or an environment that's new to us, like a new building or a new circuit, or sometimes there's some crossover in the trades and it might be something that's kind of unrelated to what we normally work on. But a lot of times just going back to understanding just basic theory and starting over. How is it supposed to work? Taking everything apart so it doesn't look all crazy. Take everything apart. Look at it as if it were new again. And identify what you can and rewire it, or whatever you're working on. Start that installation or work through that problem as if it was new. And really that's the whole point. Sometimes you have to start over. When you see a problem or you get in the middle of a problem that seems too difficult, or a problem that is seemingly impossible, or a problem that is that feels like it is becoming a burden or over your head, just take a second and start over. Sometimes you have to start over.